If we took IXL at their words, it would be one of the best edtech platforms in the world. As they say, at IXL Learning, we are passionate about improving learning for all. We apply technology in thoughtful and innovative ways to unlock learners' innate curiosity, creativity, and desire for knowledge. Their mission page talks about empowering students and inspiring motivation, and addresses what they call the emotional side of learning. What gets people excited to take on new challenges? What gives a reluctant learner that sudden jolt? I'm good at this. The CEO keeps saying how much they care about the kids. In his words, we will never do something just because it is profitable. We will only do things here if they improve education for teachers and students. And you know what? Maybe it's true, because teachers seem to absolutely love it. One called it the best website that I have seen and used in the last 3 years. A special education teacher added, "My kids are less afraid of failure and far more driven towards success since I started using IXL. These are real people in real classrooms. I don't doubt their experiences. But these edtech platforms are meant to make teachers' lives easier. They're meant to help students learn and build confidence. And on that front, IXL is failing catastrophically, because IXL is used by over 18 million students, and yet it has a 1.1 star rating on SiteJabber from over 600 reviews, just 1.4 stars on Trustpilot, and over 7,500 mostly negative reviews on Common Sense Media from children and parents combined. Hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into edtech tools. Thank you. Back to the video. I think it's really important we listen to student experiences, because this isn't just someone complaining about homework being hard. This is trauma, as this pupil wrote. This app causes extreme anxiety and even some symptoms of depression. And I know I'm not the only one. I have asked my peers at school about it, and they have all said the exact same thing. The only thing this app does for kids is give them more stress than they already have when navigating through growing up. Anxiety, depression, from a learning platform aimed at children. And the parents, they're sitting right there, next to their children, watching it happen, also traumatized. One parent indeed wrote, IXL is torture for children. A correct answer gives you 1 to 2 points, an incorrect one takes away 10 to 15 points. That isn't even done in colleges and universities, but we're doing it to elementary students? We are crushing their spirits. You can actually watch their interesting learning smothered in real time. So this isn't me saying that. That's the voice of the people that IXL was meant to serve. 18 million children are using this platform, and thousands of them, along with their parents, are begging someone to listen. So, how does a company that says all the right things about confidence and growth and the joy of learning end up with one of the lowest satisfaction ratings in all of educational technology? How does what IXL call a labour of love become, in the words of one student, top-tier torture designed as an educational tool? Now, I may not have had to endure IXL myself, but if there's one thing I've always hated, it's a hypocrite. You know the type. Someone who says one thing and does another. Especially when it's a massive, powerful corporation with hundreds of millions of dollars telling you they care about your child's emotional well-being while operating a system that routinely makes children sob at their desks. That I cannot stand. So let's go through IXL's promises, 7 of them, and show how every single one has been broken. Part 1. The SmartScore. IXL says, we address the emotional side of learning. What gives a reluctant learner that sudden jolt? I'm good at this. So, we better talk about the SmartScore, the system IXL built to deliver that jolt. The SmartScore runs from 0 to 100. 80 means proficiency. 90 means excellence. 100 means mastery. IXL says it's not a percentage score, but a dynamic measure of progress towards mastery. They even call the experience a productive struggle. Well, here's how it actually works. Early on, scores 0 to 70, you get big gains for correct answers and small penalties for wrong ones. IXL says this is designed to allow students to build self-efficacy. But once you pass 80, the maths flips. Correct answers earn you 2 or 3 points. A single wrong answer costs you 7, 10, sometimes even up to 15 points. And above 90, what IXL calls the challenge challenge zone. Correct answers earn just 1 to 2 points, whilst one wrong answer can erase everything, as one person put it. The fact they give you like 2 points when it's correct, but when it's wrong, they take away like 7,777. And teachers can't change this. It's the system, and everyone is stuck with it. So, what gives a reluctant learner that sudden jolt? Let me show you what that jolt actually looks like. A student wrote, IXL presents itself as a smart and adaptive learning platform. In practice, it feels more like a stress test than an educational tool. You can answer a long streak of questions correctly, miss one, and watch your score drop hard. That does not motivate improvement. It makes students afraid to make mistakes. Learning requires trial and error. IXL treats errors like failure instead of part of the process. The repetition is exhausting. Instead of helping you truly understand a concept, it pushes you to grind through similar questions until you hit a specific SmartScore number. That is not mastery, that is compliance. That student identified exactly what IXL is training students to do, and it's the exact opposite of everything on their mission page. An 8th grader put it more poetically. It makes students feel like Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the mountain, but instead of a boulder, it's the SmartScore, and it rolls down more and more each time. And if you've used IXL, I imagine you know exactly what that feels like. That moment where you've been grinding for 40 minutes, you can see the finish line, and one slip then sends you tumbling back to where you started. It teaches you that effort doesn't matter. That no matter how hard you try, the system will find a way to punish you. What does that do to a child's relationship with trying? And then there's Gwyneth, an 8th grader who has autism. She wrote, like, I get one question wrong and I go from 90 SmartScore to 78. I am a kid with autism, and that only makes it worse. For me, it doesn't help. It's just another assignment that I have to complete. I don't think about what the question is about, I just search it up to get it done. It doesn't help kids comprehend anything, it's just constant stress. IXL promised to unlock curiosity. Instead, they built a system so punishing that a child with autism just Googles the answer to make it stop. Truly a sad state of affairs. And the name. They call it the SmartScore. One reviewer wrote, SmartScore makes it sound like if you don't get 100 SmartScore, you are not smart. Another child captured the full weight of it. It doesn't feel like growth. It feels like IXL whispering, you're worthless. IXL promised a jolt of, I'm good at this. What they delivered was a whisper of, you're worthless. Part 2. The fallout. IXL's VP of Product says she's passionate about creating experiences that build confidence and inspire a sense of limitless potential. On IXL's website, a featured teacher testimonial reads, it has not only helped them master specific skills, but has really given them confidence in their math abilities. Confidence and limitless potential. Their words. So let me tell you what it actually looks like inside people's homes, such as the story of Isla, who is going into 6th grade. She wrote, IXL has made me cry millions of times and I'm going into 6th grade now. It gives me stress and makes me angry. One time I was so angry I almost broke the iPad. I tried explaining to my mum how I hate IXL and even showed her the reviews, which are 1-star ratings. But she keeps on saying, so what? That's the other people's opinion about IXL. IXL is good, so keep on doing it. I can't believe she doesn't understand how I feel too. Please, if you're a parent, please understand how your child feels about IXL. And if you're a child, tell your parents. Have the courage to tell them exactly how you feel about IXL. Isla is angry at the adults in her life for not listening. She did everything right. She found their evidence. She showed her mum the reviews. 1 star. 1 star, 1 star. And her mum said, keep going. Because children don't get a chance to opt out of what adults decide are good for them. And the parents who are listening, they're horrified by what they see. One parent wrote, it is incredibly detrimental to my children's self-esteem. They are both a mess when she got one wrong. It takes forever to get through it and there are always tears. Her teacher way overassigns it. Kids have enough anxiety and stress right now. It's just mean. There aren't just tears on bad days, there are tears always. Think about what this means for a child's developing brain. Every single encounter with this platform ends in distress. They start to associate associate learning itself with pain. IXL is literally rewiring how children feel about homework. Then there's a student who wrote, "They literally had to get me a new Chromebook from the student's office from all the water that had been on the keys. They asked where it had come from, and I said that it was from IXL. IXL promised to build confidence." This child's school had to replace hardware because of how hard they cried. A few years ago, someone literally punched and broke their computer because of IXL. I hate IXL, and I literally started raging and punched my Chromebook and broke the screen, and now I freaking just broke the space bar. These poor kids have so much stress that their body takes over before their brain can even stop it. And it goes beyond frustration. I literally remember a friend of mine having an actual panic attack in class because of this website. Think about what a panic attack actually is. Your body going into fight or flight because it perceives genuine danger. A maths app did that to a child sitting at their desk during a lesson, and the parents can see it happening. My dad got secondhand frustration from watching me do IXL, to the point he called the teacher and school, and by some miracle got them to stop assigning the mind-splintering assignments known as IXL. That dad watched his child suffer night after night until he couldn't take it anymore and picked up the phone. And he won, but most parents don't get that option. The district signed the contract, so your kid is stuck with it. A 5th grader wrote, "The amount of stress building in my mind is as high as the stars after the sun retires. I was crying and I had to call my mum for support. It physically made my body hurt. SmartScore? Is it telling us how stupid we are?" That child is 10 years old and asking already whether a computer thinks they're worthless. And that question will follow them. The next time they sit in exam, the next time a teacher asks them to try something hard. The website says the platform builds confidence in math abilities. This parent said it gave their child depression. One of those statements is marketing, the other one is someone's life. As this person summarizes nicely, even the CIA refuses to use IXL as a torture method. Part 3. The kids who need it most. IXL meets the unique needs of each learner. Unique needs sounds great, right? So let me tell you what happens when a neurodivergent child sits down in front of IXL. A 4th grader with attention deficit disorder wrote, "I have to use IXL for virtual learning every day, and it is a nightmare. I am in 4th grade, and my teacher makes me get the SmartScore to 100. I have ADD, and I'm not great at math, so it is hard to finish each lesson. If a teacher is reading this, please stop assigning your students IXL." That child has a diagnosed condition that makes sustained attention on repetitive tasks harder. The platform doesn't know or doesn't care why a child got the question wrong, whether they didn't understand the concept or whether their ADHD brain clicked impulsively before they finished reading. The punishment is the same. An education advocate documented the case of a 6th grade boy with severe dyslexia. She wrote, "The small rural school uses IXL, an online practice tool that supplements learning. Teachers like it because it provides them immediate feedback on progress. Parents dislike it because it demoralizes their children. The parents I'm helping can do homework for 4 to 5 hours each night, sometimes until 12:30 at night." Thankfully, that family eventually got the child exempted from IXL entirely, and the school bought them a different program instead. But it took meetings, advocacy, and a fight that most parents don't have the energy or knowledge to win. And then there's the DC Urban Mum Forum, specifically the Kids with Special Needs and Disabilities subforum. It is the worst online system for anxious OCD kids. I'm guessing teachers like it because there's no homework to correct. Another parent in the same thread described sitting next to their child. "Often I would just have him verbally give me the answer and type it in for him so he doesn't make careless mistakes. He's not going to learn concepts with IXL." The parent knows, they say it plainly, that their child will get nothing from IXL. They're just trying to get through it without a meltdown. And parent Nicole described how IXL changed her son's entire relationship with maths. Whenever he struggles with a concept, the continual negative feedback with a honking sound became very discouraging to him. We stopped using IXL for him because he was getting so overwhelmed and began thinking he was bad at math. I went back to paper and pencil without the immediate reprimand for being wrong. He's doing much better now. Isn't it obvious? The platform was the problem. Remove the platform, the child recovers. IXL says it meets the unique needs of each learner. For neurodivergent children, IXL meets their unique needs with a system that cannot be adjusted and punishes the exact type of errors their conditions make inevitable. Part 4. The Data Trade-off. Now, I've spent this entire video dismantling IXL's claims, but there's a question underneath all of this that I need to address, because it's the question teachers will ask. If IXL is so hated, then why do so many educators use it? And the answer is data. Teachers love IXL's data. They love the diagnostics, they love the reports, they love seeing exactly which standard each student is struggling with, and being able to pull up analytics at a parent-teacher conference. A teacher in Virginia said, "I believe IXL is one of the top contributors to improved student performance on MAP assessments." A teacher in Florida added, "I love the analytics, which show me so many different ways to view my students' progress, strengths, and weaknesses." And they're not wrong. IXL's data tools are, by most accounts, genuinely excellent. I kept looking at the reviews though, and I noticed a pattern. Almost every positive teacher review talks about what IXL gives the teacher: data and time saved. Almost every negative student review talks about what IXL does to the student: stress and broken devices. These are two completely different experiences of the same product. And the question IXL refuses to answer is, does the data justify the damage? Maths teacher Dylan Kane wrote an essay called "IXL is a scourge on math education." His thesis? IXL is designed to be used badly. He argued that IXL treats maths as a set of discrete skills to master and then move on. But lots of students finish an IXL skill feeling confident, then completely forget the skill because they never see it again. To him, IXL prioritizes quantity over quality. Asking students to spend 60 minutes a week practicing math turns practice into drudgery, teaches students to game the system and waste their time. Even school principals are getting in on the act. I am the principal at Jacobs Junior High School. Unfortunately, we've spent hundreds of dollars replacing Chromebooks because many students are raging at their IXLs. Our counselor is seeing the most students because of IXL. IXL says it addresses the emotional side of learning. Well, the emotional side is children are in the guidance office. Part 5. It doesn't teach. IXL says they create breakthrough solutions to education's most pressing challenges and simple, intuitive ways for educators and students to teach and learn more effectively. Teach and learn. Those are the words they choose. So, what does IXL actually teach? Well, it doesn't. It tests. There's a difference and it's enormous. Unlike Khan Academy, which is free and gives you full video instruction before you try a single problem, IXL provides no video lessons. None. You get instead a question. If you get it wrong, you get a wall of text that's meant to explain your mistake. And as for those explanations, as a teacher describes, my students have come up to me crying, asking why they got a question wrong because the explanation doesn't make any sense. Students have been sent to guidance because IXL is so frustrating. I tell them, try reading the explanation first, and they say, I have, but I don't get my mistake. I read the explanation and the students do make a point. These explanations are wordy and are hard to understand even for a teacher. A trained educator reading IXL's feedback going, yeah, I don't get it either. This is a platform that charges families up to $19.95 a month. For what? A quiz with confusing answers and no instructions? A student editorial in a school newspaper called The Oarsman nailed it. Unlike Khan Academy, IXL doesn't provide any sort of digestible explanation like videos related to the particular lesson you're working on. And that's a student, not a teacher, not a researcher, identifying the fundamental product flaw. Children can see the other platforms teach before they test. They're not asking for less work, they're asking to actually be taught. And IXL won't do it. A college student who used IXL all through middle and high school wrote, the steps used in the explanation aren't even correct half of the time too. I honestly could add so many negative things, but I need to go and teach my sister the stuff that she is trying to learn through IXL since the program can't teach properly. They're teaching their own sister because IXL, the company that promises breakthrough solutions to education, can't. A college student is doing the job a billion-dollar company charges $20 a month for and can't manage. And when the platform doesn't teach and the explanations don't help, what do you think students do? They Google it. They use AI. One student wrote, "It induces stress and makes students want to use AI resources just to get it done with." Gwyneth, the 8th grader with autism, said, "I don't think about what the question is about, I just search it up and get it done." IXL said they create simple, intuitive ways to learn. In practice, students have discovered it's faster to ask ChatGPT than to engage with IXL's own explanations. The platform itself has become a wall between children and understanding. And on top of not teaching, there comes a point when you've done an IXL for so long, you begin to memorize the answers because the questions have been repeated so many times. That was truly my breaking point. Dude, that's just sad. That's just memorizing patterns. It's like a broken record playing to an empty room. And the thing that pissed people off the most was when IXL pretended you didn't have the correct answer, even though they were quite literally the exact same thing. So damn true. And this next student even gives an example of it happening. "I literally put $9.9 for the answer, and it said it was wrong because it's $9.90. It's the same thing. I had a 99 SmartScore and it brought me down to 85. Plus, I'd already done 35 questions already. Just a simple formatting error cost them 14 points and 35 more questions of their life. Smash like if IXL ever marked you wrong for something that was actually right, because I'm sure it happened. Part 6. The time trap. So I want to talk about what IXL does to a child's time, because the SmartScore's asymmetry means homework can theoretically never end. If a teacher sets a target of 85 and a student keeps getting knocked back, they're not doing 20 minutes of maths practice. They're doing 5 hours. A student's newspaper editorial at Falls Church High School put it plainly. With IXL, it is possible to never be done with homework. A system where a child could sit at a computer from the moment they get home until midnight and still not be finished. IXL calls that productive struggle. Everyone else calls it an endurance test. One student wrote, "I've had to stay up till 5:45 in the morning because of this infuriating student torture." Another calculated it with devastating precision. "It's shocking to see how much time I've spent on IXL in the past 30 days alone. 46 hours, almost 2 whole days of my life." That's a full work week spent by a child on a single app in a single month. If you're watching this and you've done IXL, why don't you add up your hours? Let me know in the comments and then think about what you could have done with that time. You could have seen your mates, played sport, slept. IXL took it and they never gave it back. And then we come to the true name reveal of IXL. IXL, insufferable, excruciating loop of endless diagnostic hell. Productive struggle, try productive suffering. Part 7. Forced. CEO Paul Mishkin said, "The evidence is strong that students retain knowledge best when they are in charge of their own learning." So let's talk about what in charge actually looks like. Venice High School in Los Angeles requires students in non-AP Maths and English classes to complete at least 50 minutes of IXL per week. Their student newspaper, The Oarsman, published an editorial titled "IXL Makes Life Tedious for Students." At Falls Church High School, the student newspaper, The Jaguar, reported that students are given IXLs in masses and forced to complete them or else a huge grade drop will occur. And students captured this level of capture perfectly. IXL advertises themselves as trusted by millions of educators and used by over 15 million students. But they never mention that students don't use it by choice. When you make something compulsory, you take on responsibility. If a child is forced to use your platform by their school, by their teacher, then the harm your platform causes is harm you are responsible for. You can't say, "We empower learners," and then trap them in a system they can't leave. A student on a school newspaper wrote that NEA and MPTA recommends no more than 10 minutes of homework per grade level per night. Yet, IXL takes at least 1 hour for each one, and teachers are assigning more than one. So, the use of IXL is breaking official guidelines. There's a shock. A parent who is also a teacher said, "My daughter, who is very smart, all AP and GT classes now going into high school, had an IXL nightmare in the 2nd grade. Her math teacher assigned so many lessons a week as mandatory homework. It became a huge time-consuming waste of time. Many of the lessons had 50 or more problems, and if she missed a problem, it took her all the way down back to 0. It was horrible. I literally just started sitting down and doing the lessons myself after so much drama. So a teacher, someone who understands education professionally, looked at what IXL was doing to her child and decided the only sane response was to cheat the system. And students themselves have started organising. At least 10 Change.org petitions have been created to ban or restrict IXL, targeting everything from individual schools to the New York City Department of Education. One petition from Wisconsin reads, "Every night I find myself awake until 3 a.m, battling with IXL assignments. For many students like me, IXL has become a source of stress, anxiety, and even depression." Another petition at Cedar Brook School actually worked. 237 signatures. The school changed its IXL requirements. Proof that when enough people push back, something can shift. IXL's CEO says students learn best when they're in charge. Yet his platform is mandated in thousands of schools where children have zero choice and zero way out. Part 8. The Reckoning. Remember when IXL's CEO said, "We will never do something just because it is profitable"? Well, in May 2024, 3 Kansas families filed a class action lawsuit against IXL. Their children had been required to use IXL on school-issued devices. They had no choice. And the families allege that while those children were sitting there doing their maths homework, IXL was doing something else entirely, harvesting their data and monetizing it. Lead plaintiff Gretchen Shanahan described it bluntly. "They are creating a digital dossier on our kids." And when you look at IXL's own terms of service, it gets worse. They claim IXL has the right to use, reproduce, modify, adapt, publish, translate, distribute, syndicate, publicly perform, publicly display, and make derivative works of all children's content. So, your child does their maths homework on IXL, and IXL's terms say they can take that content, a child's schoolwork, and reproduce it, adapt it, sell it, do whatever they want with it. The case went before a federal judge. IXL tried to get it thrown out. They tried to force it into private arbitration where nobody would ever see it. The judge denied both, and then the FTC stepped in with unanimous votes. FTC Commissioner Andrew Ferguson wrote, "IXL's argument does not pass the smell test." The FTC's director, Samuel Levine, put it even more plainly. "Students must be able to do their schoolwork without surveillance by companies looking to harvest their data to pad their bottom line." And Common Sense Privacy, the privacy arm of Common Sense Media, gave IXL a warning rating. They found that while IXL publicly claims it will never sell student data to third parties, the actual terms tell a different story. Data profiles are created and used for data enhancement and/or targeted advertisements. So, IXL says one thing on its website and does another in its terms of service. Where have we heard that before? And at least one school district has already acted. The Etiwanda School District in California banned IXL from every campus. Their vice principal said, "IXL has been selling information to third parties. We do not approve of that." Teachers at the school admitted it was hard to lose the platform, but the district decided that children's privacy mattered more than the teacher's dashboard. So, we have a company whose CEO promised they'd never do anything just because it's profitable. $1 billion later, and a federal court is asking questions about where the children's data went. Part 9. The End. I don't know what happens next with IXL. It's too big and too entrenched for one video to change anything. After all, institutions don't dismantle themselves because kids are crying. What's strange is the content of IXL. The actual maths questions, the skill coverage, is generally acknowledged as solid. Even harsh critics say the question bank is comprehensive. And for me, that makes it worse. IXL says it's passionate about improving learning for all, and I believe the people at IXL may well believe that. But believing you're helping doesn't mean you are. And when 18 million children are using your platform, and thousands of them are telling you, in their own words, on every review site that exists, that it makes them cry, that it makes them hate learning, and your response is to punish another internal study and leave the scoring system exactly how it is, then your mission statement isn't a promise. IXL are breaking their promise to students. They've honestly broken every single one, and students know it. They've always known it. The question is whether anyone with the power to change it will ever bother to actually listen. Shrink covered IXL first in his video, The School Experience IXL. Please go and watch it and go and subscribe to Shrink. And thank you to my fan Bianca Pinkwood 2012 for suggesting I cover IXL. Now, I've done iReady, Go Guardian, Extra Math, and now IXL. What a load of beauties. So, which platform should I look at next? I want to hear your stories. Please let me know in that comment section below. Myself and my cat Leroy will give him a read. Thank you so much for watching my video. As always, smash that like button if you made it to the end, you legendary hero. See you for the next one. Snipe, snap, out.